Welcome to Agent Tactics. It is Friday again. Apologize for the small technical difficulties, but we are here. Will Draper and I actually have a YouTube course launching right now, so I'm super excited about that. But beyond that, Will Draper is a dynamo when it comes to AI, knowing AI, how to make prompts. A lot of the things that I've been using in my business recently, I usually shoot a message over to my good guy here, and he sets me up with prompts that have been working in our business, working with our team. So I'm excited to talk about some of the prompts he's using, how to integrate some of the AI tips with Chat GPT, and really like how to improve our businesses. Will Draper, welcome, bud.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeremy. Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Sorry about the beginning. I don't know why Zoom apps and yeah, it's always last minute difficulties, but we're here. We're ready. I guess we can fire away wherever you want to get started.
Let's talk about let's talk about prompts first, because I find that when I search for how to come up with my marketing pieces and things like that, I found that you've given some really good prompts where it's like how to come up with specific things. One thing I
Mhm.
can talk about I've been using is I created a prompt that specifically creates scripts for me based on articles. So I just toss in an article and it spits out a script for me. It gives me a decent hook that I can use. That's one that I created. But let's talk about some of the prompts that you've created, and then we can have people ask questions on specific prompts.
So I think it actually, I think there's a foundational piece that probably most people pass by before you even get to prompting. And with the release of the new version, the 4 Omni recently, prompting has actually become a whole lot easier. And I think people overcomplicate it. Everybody's like, I need the prompt. I need the prompt. You don't necessarily need the prompt. You just need to know what the heck you want. Like, what do you need? What's your end product? What are you actually going for? And then it's all about context. And I've found that my prompts over time have gotten simpler and simpler and simpler and simpler because what I've been focusing more on, instead of focusing on prompt and prompt structure, I focus on actually training it. So training Chat GPT to act, think, and respond like me. The more you work with it, the better it's going to get over time. And when I went to the 4 Omni version, I used to have and keep a chat thread for everything I do in my business. So, and you know what? It might, can I just share my screen and like go under the hood and like go like full kimono and like take my clothes off? Like, can I do that?
You are allowed. Last week, Ed exposed himself on here. So
Awesome. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah. This is just like regular white old chat GPT, nothing in there. Okay.
we see it.
So, you see it? Good? Yes, thumbs up? Yeah,
Yep, you're
okay.
good.
So, I usually keep for everything in my business, I keep a separate thread on the left-hand side because it helps keep me organized, okay? When they released the new Omni version, a few weeks back, it upgraded the memory that you could use inside of there. There was also a lot of other cool things, like you have like a desktop application. They enhanced the voice recognition and voice speech a whole lot better. When they re-released this, its logic and reasoning and understanding as a human increased by fivefold. Okay. So what I did, I completely wiped my account. Everything I've been working on for the past 2 years. I wiped out the entire memory and I decided to start from scratch. Within about 30 minutes, it responded and acted better than it ever had, even with 2 years of data that it had on me. So I went for a reset. Okay. To do the reset, what I did is I wiped the memory. If you go to the upper right hand corner right here, and do you see where it's got this little green thing? It's got like my initials on it, right?
Yep, we
You
see
can
it.
go under here, you can click settings, and there's a personalization here where it has memory. Okay. If you have that enabled, what I did, and I would don't do this right at this very moment, but what I would do and would recommend, I would start from scratch with the new Omni version, and I'm going to tell you exactly what to do to set it up so you get better responses from here going forward. First thing is wipe this memory. To wipe the memory, you can go into manage and you're going to see it's got a whole bunch of stuff it remembers that you tell it to do. I would go in and clear the entire thing out. You're basically starting it from scratch. The reason you want to start it from scratch is because everything it learned from you in the past, it learned like it was a middle schooler. Now it's in college, right? It can reason a whole lot better. And when I went in and decided to reset everything with the Omni version, I started with this analysis right here. Okay. I went in and started typing. I want to customize my Chat GPT experience by building custom instructions. I also want Chat GPT to do a tone analysis of my writing style in order to better emulate how I write and speak. Please guide me through this process. When I started this, it walked through and told me, hey, here's how you can get the most out of me. Here's how I can sound like you. Now, when I typed that in, it gave me a bunch of information that I could go through here and review and said, this is basically what it's going to do. And then it gave me a step-by-step guide on, hey, if you want this to work better for you, follow this guide. So I basically followed these instructions. Okay. What it came down to was what it asked me for was a transcript of my writing or a sample of my writing. Right. So if you have like an email, a blog post, like all those types of things, I was like, you know what? I shoot a lot of video. I'm going to ask it for lots of video scripts. I'm going to ask it for captions. I'm going to ask it for marketing things. I speak very differently than we would write. But so if I want it to sound like me, I want it to sound like I actually talk. Because if it's writing video scripts, and Jeremy, you know this, if you're trying to read a script that somebody wrote, like it doesn't sound natural. So to sound natural, it has to have how you phrase sentences. It has to have interspersing long and short. And I know some of the prompts people have used in the past to get better copywriting is, hey, make this sound more human-like, intersperse long and short. And you have to use all of these qualifiers, make it sound energetic. Well, what if it could just sound like you? So what I did is I took one of my YouTube videos and I downloaded the transcript and I fed it in. It's like, hey, here's a transcript from a YouTube video I did. And it analyzed my intonation, my personality, how I talk, and it kicked back all of the custom instructions and how it's going to respond to me going forward in the future. So what I did is I went into customize my experience and I gave it my custom instructions and how I would like it to respond based on the transcript I gave it. And that's all I gave it. So I reset everything. And then after I reset everything, I enabled for new chats, which means every chat I start now, it's going to remember. Now, one of the big upgrades that happened with Omni is it used to be the fact that you could only, so I'm clicking on these threads on the left-hand side. It wouldn't remember what happened from one thread to the next. But now when you work with it, it memorizes across all threads. Okay. So anytime you start a new thread, it still remembers who you are, right? So I've been testing this out and I still like to keep it organized by doing separate threads for separate ones. So like captions. Anytime I want to create a caption from any of my social content, I have this one thread that you can see is super long that creates all of my captions for me. And all I've done is just train it over time and say, okay, I want a caption. It gives me a caption. And I say, I don't like this. I want you to do this. I give it feedback on how I like things structured and say, this is only for captions. This is only for emails. This is only for text messages. This is only for YouTube. And when I do that, I'm just simply training it over time. So now I'm going full circle back to prompting. One of the biggest things people always say with prompting is you have to give it a persona. You have to say act as, right? Well, unless you're telling it to act like a person and you want it to sound like you don't need to do that anymore. You don't need to say you're an expert copywriter. You don't need to say you're an SEO expert. You don't have to do that because it already understands based on the context of the question that you ask. So step one for anybody, reset your entire Chat GPT if you're using the Omni version now, which is the newest paid version. So reset it, get your new custom instructions, provide it either writing samples or a video transcript sample so it can analyze it and start to sound exactly like you. So
what do you
I think,
recommend, real quick, what do you recommend for like if I have a YouTube video and I wanted to do a transcript, what do you recommend for me to do? Like what program?
So I use keywords everywhere as a plugin. And let's say I go to YouTube right now. And this is a neat little hack I ran into recently as well. So let's say I'm going to go into, God, I don't want any presidential shit. That's for sure. So let's say I want to go to Alex Hormozy and I want to grab video. Okay. If you have this plugin right here installed, right? Keywords everywhere. If you have that plugin installed, it's going to show up in this panel on the right-hand side. Okay. I can hit use Chat GPT. It's going to go in and it's going to grab the transcript from the video. So with that plugin, I can hit this and it'll automatically summarize the video for me, but it'll go ahead and grab the transcript for me. Now,
Perfect.
I have tested using the URL for it to grab a transcript, and I've been hit or miss on whether it allowed me to do it or not. I was working with Ray Ellen recently, and we're like, oh, it can't grab a transcript. And then I tried it on a second video, and it was able to grab the transcript. So sometimes you can go right to Chat GPT and say, grab the transcript from this video. It all depends on the video. I don't know if there's like a copyright thing on there that holds it from it or what. But when I was testing it, it was me and Ray Ellen and Bill Olson, and we were monkeying around with it. And we got denied on pulling one URL, but we tried another one. We were able to grab it. So if not, you can use the Keywords Everywhere extension, and you can grab the transcript using this button right here. Terry, it looks like you have a question.
So I use it a lot for not only business, but also for personal, family stuff, whatever. Do you, in that case, would you do just like a family thing and turn off your, the instructions that you've given Chat GPT to use? Like if you have
what do you use it for your family?
Up in the right-hand corner, if you could go in and just turn off the customization, do you turn that off if you're doing something that you don't want it to sound real estate-y?
So what do you use it for your family?
Well, so I might use it to come up with words for a death or, a picnic or, something that sounds fun, but they already know I'm in real estate. They're, so I don't need it to sound like I'm a realtor or have any realtor references or anything of the sort, just something consoling or something whatever without it sounding real estate. Do you just turn that off?
I've never turned mine off, and it makes all my grocery lists for me too.
Okay. My other question is that I was under the impression that Chat GPT Omni is free.
I don't think it's free, but 3.5 is free now. So what used to be paid
4.0 is free too, because that's what I've
got. Okay, 4.0 is free too. Yeah. So when they upgraded, they made the other stuff free, and they're going to come out with 5 very soon as well.
Okay.
So sorry, somebody knocked on my door. My dog's going bonkers right now. Hang on. Josh.
So does anybody have a prompt then that they want to try? So obviously, okay, we've gone through this, but is there a specific prompt you want to try and have Will put together so you can see how he puts together a prompt?
Yeah, it's all about context, guys. It's not so much giving it a persona, it's being ultra specific on putting together that, like, what do you want? Who's it for? What format do you want? So Jeremy, I think it's a good idea. If anybody's like, hey, this is something I've been trying to do, I just don't know how to do it, we can kind of build it together.
That's what I've got one that I've used it before, but I've been trying to tweak it, is to make a like a 30-day content guide for social, mainly Facebook. I've used it in the past and it's been hit or miss. Because I kind of, I went in and trained it and said, hey, I want some, because we do a lot of community stuff too. So it's like, hey, I want some to be real estate related, but some to be community related. And so just kind of.
So context, give me more about your so we're talking about Facebook specifically, right? And is this for your personal Facebook or is this for like a business page?
No, it's for our real estate page. That's what like I said, instead of on our real estate page, it's kind of a community guide real estate page instead of just a straight up, like, all straight listings and all that stuff. We kind of do a little mix of everything. So I've used it, like I said, I've used it in the past and I kind of, told it, said, hey, I want a mix of reels and still images, and kind of text stuff. So
a community guide, tell me more.
So we'll do like little reels for local businesses. We'll talk about local parks, things to do in the summertime, events that are coming up. It's kind of, I mean, almost like a free, free promotion, because we're going more, because more of our clients they're more interested in the community aspect than the real estate. So then like our listings and stuff that we do, it's all related around what it's around instead of more of the house, like.
Okay, gotcha, 100%. Okay, I think this is a common misconception and maybe an unpopular opinion about Chat GPT. I don't think you should use it to build a marketing calendar. You should build your marketing calendar around your ideal client and your ideal audience, and you allow it to help you build the content. You see how I flipped that a little bit? You don't need ideas. You just labeled out all the ideas you need right there. You just need a consistent schedule. Then you can help it build the content for each piece you're coming up with. So if I was building a prompt, if I'm hearing you correctly, right? So let's say you focus on local businesses. You probably want to highlight at least one local business a week, right? So, and if you're going to do that, go ahead and pick your 4 local businesses, right? And then when you go to your prompt, is this mostly text-based prompt where you have a photo of the business and then like a write-up on the business?
It's mostly a text based. Because what I'd use it for, it given me ideas before, kind of like you said. It'd say like, hey, focus on find a local coffee shop or whatever, and then I go,
Right.
oh, okay, well, this is a local coffee shop, so I'm gonna go to this, to this one. That's what I was kind of using it, like you said, more for the ideas, and then I was just plugging in, what was relevant to our area with that.
Yeah. So if you're going to highlight local businesses, I find one thing that works really well, especially for some of my private coaching clients, is that we look at the national holiday calendar and say, okay, what national days are this month? And this past month, we had National Donut Day and National Food Truck Day. And we're like, all right. So that gave us the idea there. Like, what are we going to, let's pick a donut shop. Okay. This donut shop. Hey, Chat GPT, please write me a Facebook post to highlight blah, blah, blah donut shop in parentheses. Here's the URL to their website, their Instagram, like all their contact information. Please do a write-up to highlight this local business and that people should visit it. The end. Right? Because you already had the context. You're like, hey, this is for a Facebook post. It's a text-based write-up. Right? In your custom instructions, it already should state who you are and what the goal is to attract people to community events that people are looking to buy or sell in whatever your area is, right? So I use that as context and then just say, okay, now just write the post for me. Like building the content calendar, you should do without it because you're like, all right, I want to highlight a local business. That's one day of the week. I want to highlight local things to do. All right, that's another day of the week. I want to highlight our listings. That's probably another day. I'm going to have a day it's highlighting open houses. Maybe it's a day highlighting grocery stores, right? Then what are events going on this weekend? I've already labeled out what you could have each day of the week. So when you're making your plan for the entire month, know that each one of those, you just got to do 4 of for the month, right? And then you can just have it do the legwork of writing the post for you. But as far as coming up with the ideas, unpopular opinion, I'm not for it coming up with your ideas. I think you should do it because you know your clients better,
Okay,
right?
yeah,
Here's what you do though. Once you build, so say we're looking at July and you're planning out July, Jamie, for your Facebook page, right? After this call, I would sit down with you or your team, your assistant, whomever, and just look at the month and just look at, okay, what national days are in the month as well, right? And say, okay, what are we going to highlight each and every day this month, right? That's the plan. Go into Chat GPT and say, hey, here's our plan for the month. Copy and paste your outline in there and say, this day is going to be talking about this location. Please write me a Facebook post for our business page about this. The goal of this post is this. Our ideal audience is this. Please write the post. And it'll write all of the posts for you, but you've told it what to do. That's what I mean by context, right? If we're relying on it to come up with the ideas and execute the content, we're going to get a bunch of generic stuff like you should do virtual tours of properties. You should highlight open houses, right? It just knows the generic shit. But when you have targeted it because you know your ideal clients, you're going to get a much better response because you're the one coming up with the ideas. You're just allowing it to execute the heavy lifting. So after you do that, it's going to know and have the memory hey, this is what he likes to do for a month. So what you've done is you set the framework. So when it comes to September, please create me a content calendar and list of posts for the month of September based upon the information you know about my business from July. Then you're going to get a good response, because it's going to be like, okay, every Thursday, I know he likes to highlight a local business. Let me scroll through, okay, what are the national holidays? What lines up with those local businesses? I'm still a proponent of you should be picking the businesses, right? You should be picking the parks, because your ideal client should like those, like one coffee shop over the other, because not all coffee shops are good. Let's be honest. Some of them are shitty, and not everybody should get a 5-star review, right? So pick the places you want to highlight and then just let it do the heavy lifting.
Okay. No, and I really like the deal what he said too about putting the URL in there too, to let it search that. That's one thing I haven't been doing, and that's a really good idea.
Yeah, because if you just give it a name, I'll give you an example. Black and White Coffee Shop. That's a coffee shop around here. There's a black and white coffee shop in probably every state, right? When I went to the Instagram handle, there's so many different ones. It has no idea that that's what that business is. Give it the URL of the business you want it to highlight. Or if it's a park, go to the town website, go to the park page, give it the specific URL so it can go crawl that page and pull the information from it. But definitely always fact check it. I've had it do that for a park before, and it talks about a splash pad. And I'm like, I didn't know it had a splash pad. It didn't, but there was a mention in the footer on the website for another park with a splash pad. So always go fact check that, right? Because if it's just crawling the information on that URL, if there's links to other stuff, it does not necessarily know that, because you said, hey, use this URL. So it's going there. When you talk to Chat GPT, you have to think like a programmer, right? You have to think like you're talking to a toddler. Okay. Go get ice cream. Okay. Do I go to the freezer? Do I go to the store? Do I go to the grocery store? Do I go to this coffee shop? Do I go to that place? Like, it doesn't know. Go get a 1-pint tub of ice cream from the freezer in the kitchen of your home, and you are currently in the living room. There are multiple tubs in the freezer. The tub you should pick up is cylindrical in shape. So you see how you speak to it differently that way. Don't go get a tub of ice cream. You got to be super specific, because ChatGPT is a moron. It's a Tom, a totally obedient moron. If you tell it to go do something and you have endless possibilities, that's when the responses you get back aren't that great, because it has endless responsibilities to go to. And the way it works, so how it picks the next word that it responds back to you, it uses a mathematical algorithm to determine, in all of the information that I know, what is the next most likely word to be in this sentence. And it gives you the next most likely word. It basically runs a math equation and says, when people say, I'm going to, it's going to guess at what that next word is going to be based on a math equation, right? It's not smart. It's just following an algorithm. So if it's choosing the next most likely, that's why you get virtual tour of this and show an open house and show a coffee shop. It's not going to give you anything specific, because it doesn't have specific enough instructions, which is why you don't depend on it to create your content calendar. You create the content calendar, but then you have it create the content, but you have to give it context. You have to say, it's this business at this location. Here's information about the business. It's this park at this location. Here's information about the park, or a URL to the park, or a PDF of the park. Like if you have at least around here, like we have restaurant guides that go out in like PDF format. Take the restaurant guide, upload it, and say, hey, identify the 5 most highest rated restaurants in this PDF guide, make a Facebook post right up targeted towards my ideal client for my Facebook page, make the post up to 1,000 characters, go. Right? So you can have it do that, but you're giving it context. If you're just like, create me a content calendar and I like community things and local businesses, it's just way too broad, right? Make sense?
Got it. What,
Perfect. Thank you.
who else has another maybe idea for a prompt? Because I really want to see how you write prompts out, and I really do want to get to the automation part of it too, because I have some automations we worked on. So one more, so we can come up with an actual like prompt, so we can see how Will comes up with them. Jennifer, you got one? Anybody?
I was going to say that I answered my question that I asked you a second ago. I just went in and I just simply said, this or that July 4th content. And this or that things are something that I've been doing for years with Chat GPT for holidays and things like that. And then I go into Canva and make this or that posts that I use on social media and also for VIP games with my VIP Facebook page. And it gave me for home buyers. I didn't ask it any of this. It gave me for home buyers. Then it gave me a section for seniors downsizing. Then it gave me a section for families going through probate. And then it gave me a section for just fun and general ideas. So it has taken everything, like you said, that's in my list that you're saying delete. And it has now given me 4 different options for 4 different types of games that I can play, which I thought was kind of cool. Because
Yeah, if you've been training yours intentionally that way, don't delete those, right? I intentionally
wasn't training it intentionally. It just pulled content that I've had in the past, questions I've asked it in the past, and it did that on its own. So I thought that was just kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is. So I'm big on social media engagement stories. So questions that you ask in your stories to drive leads, you know, when you do poll and quizzes and stuff like that. I've trained mine. I have one chat thread. I've trained it on, I came up with 20 or 25 that worked really well for a lot of my clients and myself included. And I was like, hey, take these 25, give me 25 more just like these. And I was like, all of these are great because I've been training it over time. So it's gonna be the same thing. Like Jamie, like you train it for a solid month or two on, hey, this is exactly the type of content I want. Here's all the information you need. You're basically just feeding it, hey, here's all the resources. Then it's going to make your life so much easier because it's been trained, right? It's gone through school. So that's the most important part. You have to actually talk to it and train it.
So, well, maybe we can meld the things that you're talking about, what Jeremy's request is for prompts. So, for example, I've been looking at putting in more stories to let people see more of myself, my life. I've been putting in cool stuff that I think is cool that people might be interested in. And I'm looking to create engagement because if there's one thing I'm 100% sure of, it's that I have failed, although I'm failing forward on creating engagement for my posts. And I just haven't been able to, I haven't cracked the code even remotely. I'm doing tons of content. I'm not cracking the code on getting big views, which could be an algorithm education thing, story for another day, or for stories. I've been doing quizzes, and different things, but maybe there's something we can do along that end for prompting based on what you found successful, because I am, and I'll make it about me because I'm asking the question. I'm a realtor in Austin. I do not have a large database. I do not have a massive following. I maybe have like 1,200 people following me. So I'm like, call me baby agent for argument's sake. Can you put that baby agent hat on and talk about what you're doing with attraction and engagement? And what kind of prompts that you're using? Could that be a good thing? Or you're smiling? That was a lot.
I am smiling because it's a media strategy question and Chat GPT is not the answer to that. It's not. Chat GPT is not the answer to that. That's a social media strategy question. And if you're struggling with engagement, that's usually one of two things. One, your content is not resonating towards an audience, right? So I would go back and look at, okay, what's your overall strategy? Who are you trying to reach and how are you trying to reach them? ChatGPT is not going to necessarily help you with that, right? That is a little bit more organic. That's a little bit more qualitative to a degree. And so what I would ask you is, who is your target clients? Who are they?
They are home buyers in the $1 million price range who are, highly educated and moving to Austin area or within the Austin area.
Okay. What
I
type
can
of
tell you
content?
more about them, about lifestyle and all the other things if you want, but that's the
Okay.
so they're adults, 35 to 54 because they're shopping in that price range. It's not their first rodeo. So they're a move up buyer, and
Are they
may or may
people you
not
know
have
or
else.
people you don't know?
Let's go with don't know.
Okay.
Sure,
So
because
these are people
I'm
not in your
unknown.
sphere, and they are quote unquote what I would call strangers. They're not like second degree of separation. They're not like a friend of a friend. They're absolute total strangers.
Yes.
Okay. So absolute total strangers who want to buy $1 million plus properties in the Austin area, and they're moving to the Austin area from elsewhere.
Or
Is
they, I
that
mean, they
right?
may be within, but I guess that would be a secondary market. So
Okay,
sure.
maybe within. Okay. So what platform do you think they spend their time getting information from?
YouTube and Instagram.
Okay. So what's your strategy for YouTube and Instagram?
So far I've only been doing home tours.
Okay. On both?
Yep.
Okay. So since you mentioned stories, let's talk about Instagram. What type of home tours do you do? How often do you do them?
I was doing them pretty regularly, and I've since put a pin in it because I'm not getting what I need to do in terms of engagement, etc. So
What's your account name?
Jennifer S as in Susan Goodman.
Got it.
And if this isn't going to be relevant for others, like and how we're pulling Chat GPT into it, then we can.
Yeah,
about
I mean, it's not
else.
necessarily relevant for Chat GPT. This is
I don't want to hijack the meeting.
yeah, it's a different strategy.
Okay. If we
Yeah,
can't, let's go
tell you
down.
what, hey, DM me. I've talked with you before many times, right? DM me on Instagram. Let's set up a 15-minute call outside of this to make sure we honor what Jeremy wants to cover.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to deep dive with you for 15 minutes because I see 4 or 5 things that you can do immediately that'll probably help you by just like looking at your page.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
if we can't leverage the
Yeah.
chat, then yeah. So what about leveraging the chat based on what you were talking about earlier for the engagement, for the polls and the
I have a whole list of polls for social media strategy that I've already developed that I can just send you an example list of what these are going to look like. But it really comes back to how often you're spending on the platform and how often do you engage? Are you engaging with 20 stories a day for your ideal client, not just friends? Because you want to work with strangers, right?
Yep.
Are you engaging on people who you ideally want to work with that are going to buy $1 million house, or engaging with people that you know?
I guess the answer is it depends who engages.
Yeah,
Go
ahead, Jeremy.
I want to move forward with this.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys talk
For sure.
offline. Mandy had a really good one on here, and it says a prompt on creating 8 to 10 update posts per day for Google Business Profiles.
Okay, perfect. I've got a great prompt for that. I'll just give it to you. I've got it saved right here. Give me like, if I can get this to open. All right. So this is one I give out to a lot of people. It works great. Okay, update posts. Okay. So since if you don't have your custom instruction sets and all that type of stuff, I'm just going to assume you have none of that type of stuff set and you're just starting Chat GPT from square one, right? And I am going to give it a persona because it has not been trained as of yet, is what I'm assuming. If your Chat GPT is trained, you have custom instructions, you can ignore the first 3 sentences that I'm about to say. Act as a local SEO and Google Business Profile consultant.
Can you share it on screen?
Yeah. Hang on.
That way people can screenshot it.
Yep. Oh my God. Come on. Okay. So this is my entire catalog of ChatGPT and Google Business prompts. So this first one, right? These first 3 sentences: act as a local SEO and Google business profile consultant. I'm a real estate agent. My name is whatever your name is. My market area I serve is this area. If you've already got Chat GPT trained, awesome. If you don't, use that. I am building local SEO authority on my Google business profile by creating daily update posts to advertise my expertise and the clients I help. My ideal and target client are, insert exactly who your ideal client is, exactly who they are. I have a insert tone of voice. Again, if you haven't done the tone analysis, like I mentioned at the very beginning, you're going to need this. If you've done the tone analysis where it knows how to talk like you do not need this, right? Which is why I say go ahead and start with that. Do not self-reference, do not explain what you are doing. The goal of this post is for people to understand my services, how I can help them, and solve their problems. That's a key phrase. Please create 30x, 10, whatever number you want, Google Business Profile posts. Each post should be between 750 and 1,500 characters long. The reason being, the more characters you have, the more information Google has to crawl. You don't want it to be 50 characters long and it's short. You actually want a nice beefy update. And you should include some of the following keywords. Insert your target keywords. Okay. Do not use Chat GPT to come up with keywords for your business. It is not a tool for that. Even if you ask it for keywords, it'll give you keywords. But if you say, where did you research these keywords? These are the most commonly researched, blah, blah, blah. It's old. It's out of date. You need to use Keywords Everywhere or SEMrush, SEMrush, to find the keywords for your actual business that you want to rank for. In general, you want to use your name. You want to use your area. So Jeremy Knight, Austin, Texas, Austin Realtor, Austin Real Estate Agent, sell my home in Austin, homes for sale in Austin, sell my home in Austin, so on and so forth, right? So you want to use your geographic area and your name, Realtor, Real Estate Agent, in every possible combination. I tell people to develop a keyword stack. The keyword stack are a list of keywords that you should be using across your social media, across your Google business profile, and across your website. Because the more you have that keyword stack that shows up in those multiple places, when people go to search on Google, it will crawl your YouTube, it will crawl your Instagram, it will crawl your Facebook, it will crawl your business profile, it'll crawl your website. And if you have the same consistent keyword stack across each one of those platforms, you're going to show up more in search. So that is super important. Don't just be like, buying a home, selling a home. If you don't put the geographic area, it doesn't know, because somebody in my market here might say homes for sale near me. Well, somebody on the other side of the country could also be putting that. So that's not necessarily a keyword you want to rank for, because it could be showing up elsewhere. You want it to be super geographically targeted. And then end each post by providing a call to action, such as calling your name to get started. Okay. Now, when you enter this prompt, every single person in this call is going to get an entirely different response, because your memory is entirely different. What it knows about you is entirely different. But here's what you do. Tell it to give you one business profile post first. When you get that business profile post back, if you don't like how it looks and you don't like what it says, copy it to like a Word document, fix it to exactly how you want it, and then reply back and said, thank you for the response. I always like to be polite. I don't know if you need to be polite, but I like to be polite. Thank you for your response. I edited this to more suit my tone and style and format. Please use this as future reference material for future requests. So for example, when I get back one like that, what I would like to do is I would say, Will Draper, Wake Forest, NC, Realtor, Real Broker, LLC of NC. And I would want that on there every single time, because what does it have? It has my name, it has my geographic location, it has that I'm a realtor, and it has my brokerage, right? I would have that at the bottom of every return that I get. So when I got my first response back, I would paste that in and say, use that format every time I ask for a Google business profile post. Because guess what? If you say, use this format for each future request, when you go ask for an email, guess what you get back? You get back that ending. When you go ask for a caption for Instagram, what do you get back? You get back that ending, because you didn't say what that ending is for. So you have to say, use that for all Google Business Profile post requests, not all requests, be specific. And then it's going to give you back, it's going to say, great, updated, here's your updated post. And then you're like, give me another. And then it's going to give you another. And it's going to be, instead of 75% right, it's going to be 85% right. You tell it what you don't like. Like, please don't use the word mesmerizing. Please don't use the word edible delights or whatever like weird like phrases you get back. I don't know why you get edible delights back for a Google Business Profile post, but I mean, hey, I can give you weird shit back. Tell it, don't ever use that phrase again, or don't use that phrase for this type of post. It's going to take 4, 5, maybe 6 iterations, but then it's going to be like, okay, cool. I know what you need. And then that thread, you then name that thread. You can right click. So if I'm in Chat GPT, I can come over here and I can right click and I can rename that. So you'll see this one, it says newsletter GPT. So I send out a newsletter now 3 times a week. Raise your hand if you get my newsletter, by the way. Who gets it? A couple people? Yeah, a couple people. Okay. So I come up and I'm going under the cover here. I come up with all of the ideas for my newsletter. Chat GPT does not come up with any of my ideas. It kind of ties back to what Jamie was saying earlier. I have an idea. I have a concept. I typically take it from one of my social media posts. So what I do is I go to Chat GPT for that particular thread and say, okay, I am writing Wednesday's edition of the Social Agent Pro newsletter. Wednesday's edition is about the social media tip of the week. Please use this post from Instagram from last week, or please use this post that I plan to post next week. Take the context from it. Here's what I want the subject line to be, and here's what I want the final point to be at the end. Please write my newsletter. And it will write it out based on the information I gave it. It's about 75% right. I'll go back in and tweak it, and then I'll say, here's my final newsletter that I ended up writing. It's never perfect because I always want the formatting to be something different. I want to emphasize something. I want to put my own special flair. But every time I do that and change it, I copy and paste it back in and say, hey, this is what I want instead. So every time I go back, it's getting a little bit better and better and better. So I'm going on vacation tomorrow. I'm going to be gone for a week, right? I'm going to take a little bit of time off from social media, but my newsletter is going to keep going out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I've already pre-scheduled all my newsletters. So what I did was I went in and said, hey, I'm going on vacation next week. I need to pre-schedule Monday, Wednesday, Friday newsletters. Monday is for the video department, which is the section of my newsletter. Wednesday is the social code, and Friday is Chat GPT. Please analyze my best performing Instagram posts from the past month and generate a newsletter for each of those 3 days for my best performing posts. Go. I changed 50 words. I had to modify the formatting a little bit, but I only changed 50 words and it generated it all. So I just copy and pasted it into Flowdesk and scheduled it. Done. But that's because I've been training it and giving it response and feedback. So going back to this prompt, this is what I call a starter, right? Start a thread with this prompt. Keep asking for business profile update posts only in that prompt. And it's going to start remembering across it as well. But when you give it back responses, say, hey, this is for a future Google Business Profile post, because that's what that thread is about. If you say, hey, use this in all future responses, you could ask for a video script, and it's going to have all this stuff in the video script. Does that make sense?
Would you recommend prompting in the thread versus creating a GPT specific for each?
I do like the threads over GPTs. I like how you can construct a GPT and you can load resources into it. I do think that is neat, but I feel like I lose a little bit of control when I build those GPTs because I like to be able to reset. I don't use a lot of GPTs. I have used some in the past, but it does a lot of auto prompting and stuff for you. I find that I much prefer using this window than creating GPTs specifically, because sometimes I like to do resets. And this, when I'm here, it learns across each one. When you create a GPT, it's staying in a silo, right? It stays in a silo. So it doesn't learn outside of that. I want it to always learn what I'm doing, because for the most part now, I can just go in, and I use the voice one a lot now. Have you guys tried the voice one on your phone yet? I love doing, like, and when I'm in the car, I'll have a conversation when I'm going somewhere. Like if I need to do some ideation, right? Or I want to educate myself. It's like, I need to learn some better sales copy for this. Like, what should I know? And we'll just have a conversation. Or, it's really handy when I'm cooking and I run out of something. I'm like, okay, how do I substitute baking soda? Like I like using the voice version, which is kind of fun. But I prefer this layout right here. I prefer being able to work inside the threads as opposed to GPTs.
I saw somebody using it as a translator the other day, where it would actually, it would say, translate for me. This person's going to say this in Spanish. I'm going to say this in English. I thought that was pretty impressive. We got like 10 minutes left. I want to go through some other automations before we get out. But if you have questions, please drop them in, because I want to make sure that we get these questions answered before. And if you found this valuable so far, drop a 1 in the chat. What other automations are you creating with Chat GPT?
So what do you mean by automations?
So I know there's a way to take like Zapier, right? You take Zapier and that prompt that you made for Google Business, where it will do the zaps. Is that something you're using on a weekly basis, or are you or are you not even using the automation part of it anymore?
I've explored the stuff with Zapier and like doing automated posts for Google Business profiles. But I find I like to review everything, right? Even for people I'm helping do like manage their business profiles for them, I like to have that actual review process instead of just having it automatically post stuff, because it's when it posts stuff, it's us, right? Like for me, I have a really hard time just letting it do stuff for me. Like I want to be able to review. It's like a final QA QC check. And then, hey, if these work, yeah, you can then set up the Zap and have it do it. I haven't played too much with that. I don't really have a need for it.
Okay, cool. Here we go. Do you have a class on how to set up tone and for your ideal client?
I don't have a class I've done on that. I did it on a group call. So I have the group call recorded. It was, when was it from? So inside my Social Agent Pro membership, it was a group call probably 6 weeks ago, and we spent about 75 minutes. And we walked through exactly how to do it. Like I showed how to grab a transcript and how to build that all out. That's inside my dashboard, I think. Let me look and see if I can find it. Content, workshops. Let's see. I think I did that.
While you're doing that, so Sharon's question was if you had the prompt. I screenshotted it on my computer and I just put it in the chat if you want to steal that.
Yeah, I think this is one of the calls.
Is that Loom you're using to shoot that, or is it something else?
That's Riverside, actually.
Riverside.
Yeah.
I tried using Loom. I just didn't like it.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say I have a class on it, but I did do it on a recorded call, and we walked through how to do this live on this right here. It's behind a paywall, but there's a 7-day, like you get 7 days of free access. If you want to access this, if you want that, you just email me at will@itswilldraper.com and I can send you a link to it.
Cool. Sharon says, thank you, but does he recommend an app system to schedule Chat GPT upgrades in advance? I think that's what we were just talking about, because you can use what's called Zapier and it'll automatically do that, or you can put it into a content calendar. I know Sonia, my assistant's on here. A lot of the stuff we post on Chat GPT and the other places, we actually use our CRM, right, Sonia? She's probably like working in the background and going, God, why are you calling on me?
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use
what are we
metrical.
sorry, what are we scheduling it on? It's on Lofty, correct?
The way we schedule our content?
For Chat GPT.
I'm sorry, are you
So
asking about how we do it out of Lofty, or how
yeah,
we
it's
kind of
through,
create it in GPT first?
yeah, we create it in Chat GPT, create the post, and the post is scheduled through Lofty to land on Google Business, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And then just to be organized about it, we keep a manual DIY Google Sheet content calendar. So it's a Google Sheet content calendar. We plan it in advance, and it has the post caption from the Chat GPT and all the hashtags. And then every day we know what we're doing. We go into Lofty. We can do it post immediately or schedule it out for whenever.
Yeah.
But it's just copy pasting in all of our work that we've done ahead of time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Thank you.
instead of using like automatic stuff, so I use Metricool, guys. This is my social media scheduling platform. And another reason why I don't like to just do ChatGPT to Zapier to Google Business Profiles or something like that is because I can't analyze what's going on and what kind of performance I'm seeing. So like when I'm planning out my content, as you can see, this was my June content calendar, and I had it planned out before June even started. So it shows every platform, every post of where it goes. And yes, I utilize ChatGPT to help with a lot of this content, but I like to schedule it on this dashboard, because once I do that, I can go in and look at my analytics per my platform, even including Google Business Profile, and see what kind of traction I'm getting. And if you just automatically use like Zapier for that, you're not going to have access to that. And analytics are more important to me than the hour it takes me to plan my content for an entire month, right? I want to see like what's performing, and you can't really get that when you're using ChatGPT and automation, if you will. So I'm using automation. I just don't use ChatGPT for automation. I use a different specific software platform. And honestly, I think a lot of people get caught up with ChatGPT as like this shiny object, like it can do everything. I use it as a tool. It's not the end all be all. I use it to help me become more efficient at what I'm doing, but there's other better tools out there to do work. So like scheduling social media and all that stuff, Metricool, Loomly, all of those tools are awesome. So that's how I like to do it.
So Will, this is Sonia again. I'm with you. I think like you, where I like to think of all the specifics ahead of time for our team. I'm plopping it on a calendar, and then our assistant is going in and grabbing those specifics and then plugging it into ChatGPT and working the prompts from there. But she has the specifics up front from a human and the hashtags. So we don't totally depend on ChatGPT to create it all. And then we review it to make sure there aren't errors and gibberish before we post. So we don't let anything automatically post for us until we've actually created it organically and grammar proof, spelling checked it, all those things.
Yeah, makes sense.
Sweet. All right, last question. Who's got the last question? We're right at an hour, and Will has got places to go. If you want to reach out to Will, you can find him on Instagram. It's Will Draper. Facebook. He also has a few websites. So we have YouTube Unlocked website. If you're curious about upping your YouTube game, we're soft launching it now. We'll start really pushing it here in the next week or two. So, man, this is great info. Thank you so much. All right. Well, that's going to do us here. Will, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us. Again, if you want to reach out to Will directly, reach out to Will. He has his own coaching program where he does this. I was on his weekly call on Tuesday. He does a weekly call as well. So if you want more information from him, also we're having issues with our flow desk right now. So we may not get an email out on Monday. I'm trying to get this all clarified and cleared up. Apparently Google thinks we're sending out too many emails and they're spam. So, and I might have to ask Will how to fix that too. But so if you don't, on Monday, we post the replay on Monday on my YouTube channel, which is Agent Contacts on YouTube. So look for it there. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, Will.
See you guys.